Hello everyone, this is Bigalski, and with the 20-year anniversary coming up for Ninja Gaiden Black as well as the 20-year anniversary of YouTube, I decided to go back and re-release a video that JTB and I made back in March of 2008. It kind of got lost in one of my normal, I think the final video. It was going to be a short video, so we decided to talk about how videos used to be made back in the day. Starting out, this is my videos that I started making. Started out with HP1 back in August 25th of 2005. Hopefully it'll come out clear to where people can see. Then I did some Ninja Gaiden 2004 before starting NGB. But this video coming up, I won't be talking. It'll be the commentary we made, like I said, a while back. But enjoy this, and we'll catch you at the end. And one of the things we want to do is really compare the old video capture system, or how we used to do it. Or this is my setup back in 2005 when I first started making videos. Our TV in the bedroom had a VCR, so I would record. Shelly would try to be getting some sleep sometimes, and I'd be recording. But
Quick question: did you ever have a Duke?
Yes, I still have one. I think I still have one. Yeah.
It's quite good to play NG with. For anyone wondering, the Duke. It's a good controller for NG.
Yeah, that's a big controller. I played it with Halo whenever I got my Xbox. Yeah. But so when I decided to start making videos, this was my first setup. The TV like that. People probably don't even know what those are anymore because of, it was bulky. I mean, it weighed like 60 or 70 pounds, and it was only like a 20 or 32 inch or something like that. But so I would record on the VHS tape, and then after I would get, however many clips I wanted to or anything, then I would come over to the computer, and actually this VCR was actually hooked up to our front TV. So whenever I wanted to record, I had to unhook it from the TV and then go plug it into my computer and go through a Dazzle. I think we used Virtual Dub. And,
yeah, that was really big back then. I remember a lot of people would use it.
Well, it was something, and my wife was cleaning out a bunch of old tapes and CDs and cassettes that we still had and all that stuff, and she found actually some tapes of my old gameplay. And let me tell you what, I was terrible. I was terrible at the game, but, it was exciting. We talked about videos were new at the time, so it's like, well, let me make some videos and start trying to help. And, over the course of the years, hopefully I've gotten a little bit better. And of course, the setup and capture system isn't anywhere as antiquated as it was. And then I think right here is like my old file, just to give people some examples. Like the very first video I made back in September of 2005 was the Very Hard Horseman in Ninja Gaiden. And that was like always considered an impossible time limit to make. The only person who ever made it was JTB. And
that's without Nimpo, though.
Yeah. Without Nimpo, I mean, some of the greats of the past, never could make it, and he was able to make that finally after years. I mean, it was years later, but that's the great thing about the game. People are still playing and innovating and learning. But anyway, it was 7.2 or 0.42, whatever it is, megabytes. The length is only like 3 minutes and 16 seconds. We recorded at 320 by 240 with like a 353 bit rate. Oh, I'm telling you, it was crazy. I remember talking to Weeble a lot when we would get on Virtual Dub and we'd try to figure out what codec, here's the size of it, of, what we used back then. Because, YouTube back in those days,
YouTube didn't exist first.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
It was, I don't know if anyone watching remembers it, but do you remember FileFront? Was like that was kind of the place everyone used to host their video,
right?
Because it was free. On the subject of that as well, we were talking about Virtual Dub. One of the other reasons that was really popular is because it was free. Back then, unless you wanted to pirate it, of course, but if you wanted to get video editing software, it was real expensive if you got it legitimately.
Yeah, so, and then of course you had to play with it a few times to see how it was going to come out and look. Because, again, on YouTube, at that time, 10 minutes, you could only upload a 10-minute clip, and it couldn't be any more than 100 megabytes when we were finally able to start using YouTube. And I think that's the reason why Iberian Warriors site finally came in, into existence, is because there was no good place to really host these videos. And this right here is my folder of all my NG videos. And if you look there off to the side, there's 47 files that I made, but it's only 1.21 gigs for all those videos, where this video right here will be probably close to 2 gigabytes on its own by the time everything gets done. Weeble used to have a little hosting service that he would do, and he would host everything off his Xbox. So he would grab the videos where he could, Shinobier's videos, Shin's videos, a lot of the old vets that people just don't know of these days. But he would host that, and again, we would talk about it on GameFAQs, and then that's what led to Iberian Warrior deciding, hey, let me open a site, and then of course it came, what it was in the day.
Yeah, just as a last bit of comparison there, I just checked all my old NG stuff, even though I lost a lot in the old site, mine's 4.5 gigs for 184 videos.
And then, here I upgraded. I upgraded to this 36-inch TV that weighed like 140 pounds because of that tube was so heavy. Mm-hmm. And it was just crazy. And then, like I said, I would plug everything in. But now that I had a DVD player...
Is that a Ninja Dog load screen?
Is it? Yeah, it might have been. Yeah. Because, we used to do like low dog Ninja Score runs or whatever.
Yeah, they were really fun.
It was a lot of fun to just go through Ninja Dog. It was a big deal for people. Oh, I can't believe you're playing Ninja Dog. It's like, man, it's a game. Let's have some fun.
Quickly on that though, it was funny when the game came out, because for anyone that doesn't know, there was a year between 04 and Black. And when people would talk about it and review it, because YouTube wasn't a thing then, Let's Plays weren't a thing, people still struggled with Ninja Dog. So,
oh yeah,
if you can't get through it, don't feel bad. It's not easy. It's only easy when you know how.
Well, after I would plug all that stuff in, and you have to go through S-Video and just to get all the settings up. I mean, it was. I remember buying that small DVD player to just have it. It was crazy, and I said it. The time was considerably cut down from what I used to do with the VCR stuff, but I mean it's so easy now compared to then. But again, trying to upload stuff to YouTube, and then the other part of that is it's not like you had 100 megabyte speed either. So if you had a big 100 megabyte file, it might take you an hour or 2 hours or whatever to just upload. And God forbid Xbox put out a patch or an update that was 2 gigs, you might as well just leave it on all night.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was only relatively recently I went to, like HD stuff. Trying to think, maybe 6 years or so.
Right.
Pretty recent for me.
So my last video series, I think my last was like 2006, I think, for Ninja Gaiden Black. It was either 2006 or 2007, but these were the last pictures that I think I took on how I would make the videos. And then, of course, whenever you start seeing some of the pictures a little bit later on, how it's just so much easier and how they've come up with that. But I look back at it, there were a lot of good times. Well, we say it was good times then, struggling with that and trying to figure out the coding.
I would never go back.
Yeah.
One of the reasons, even if the site hadn't have gone, like if the site had stayed up, I would have been able to get a lot of my old stuff. But one of the main reasons I don't have like the vast majority of my old stuff is because my computer at the time was had a 7 gig hard drive. I couldn't just keeping just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos wasn't really viable back then.
Well, and the site that we're talking about, for those who may not know that are new to the game, it was Iberian's NG Realm. And the name of this site right here is more of a tribute to the game itself. And, we wanted to do NG, but then also the realm of, we could add other possibilities of other games, and but also expand on that. Like I said, there's still a lot of activity on the Ninja Gaiden Black. And some of the other community, Ninja Gaiden 2 and Sigma's been having some activity. But this right here
hopefully NGO4 will be soon too. Just tease something that we're doing.
Yeah,
like
hopefully he's doing some good stuff with that. But
there'll be some interest in that.
This is my Elgato capture system where I plug it into the into the oh, see, I already, man, you're right. The time did go by fast.
Yep.
These are my notes. So whenever I capture everything through my Elgato that comes into, my computer, I have all these files, maybe 10 or 12 files for each section that I'm doing. And then I go to, once I get them all put together in transition, which it'll show it a little bit later on, what I like to do is I like to be very precise about the title screens. If everybody sees that, it always says Bigalski Xbox One gameplay. That's line 1, line 2. So this is how I keep track of, the high-tech way of handwriting it down.
You're way more particular about this stuff than I am. For me,
Oh, yeah.
like my editing is just hit render, hit upload. Like that's it.
Well, I figure if I'm
embrace
going to do it, I'm going to have
age.
fun with it.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy my transitions and everything. But so all this stuff, I keep track of which titles I use because I don't want to redo new titles or repeat titles or repeat transitions or anything because I have so many of them. Now this clip right here is actually what I'm working on now. So that's the title screen over there. Then I type everything up in the right hand side is where I can go through and you can see the spaces in between where making the time limits an extra feature. You can see where that is. You can see the color. I can change all that stuff. I can shade it in. I mean, there's just so many options that you can do now. Again, you can see the next title right below that. Maybe that's I don't know what title that is. Maybe 26. So that's probably what I'll use for my next video. Again, there's a lot of other titles. Some of them I will be able to use. Some of them I can. It's just not going to be productive. But anyway, I can control all that. Control the font, the sizes. It's the little sliders there. Or the transition in and the transition out, so I can adjust that. It's really a lot of fun to play with, and that's the reason that I do it. So this right here is part of some of this video clip right here. You can see the little storyboard going across the little smaller squares, and then there you can see the AV track 2. That's where the clips go. The AV track 1 is where my title goes. There's an AV track 3 and 4 that you don't see right now. That will be JTB in my voice. I'll be 3, he'll be 4. And then, of course, these are my transitions. And you can see where it says particle. I think there's like 16 or 18 in those. So I'll go through that. And, I mean, there's just I probably have 500 transitions. So it's fun playing it. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to have a good time doing it. I know you don't really particularly care for it, but... Hey.
Nah, I like my editing to be, like as fast as possible.
Well, your gameplay makes up for, mine. I gotta wow and dazzle people with my transitions and everything. So, going to this. So here's one of the current files. We saw some of the properties from the older files. Here's some right here. Just my latest video of chapter 15 that was done. I mean, it was 2.18 gigs after it was finished. So it's just unbelievable when I still go back and look at all this stuff, how far it's come. And I mean, I've said that a few times, but again, when you see it, looking at it, you're like, wow, it really has come a long way. The youth today are so lucky.
They are when it comes to video making.
It's
very, very easy.
Yeah, and that's something too. I think that's the reason why I enjoy the transitions and I enjoy all of that is just so I can just have a really good time with it. And it's actually kind of very peaceful and relaxing for me because sometimes some of these fights and doing it like I want, that gets a little stressful, but putting it together in a video, that's the relaxing part of it. And then this is going over to the other side of it, the frame rate, the width and the height, the 1280 by 720. I could render it in, what's the next size?
1080p.
Yeah, 1080p. I could do that, but my computer's a little bit older, and it's not going to, run that very well. So the video quality on YouTube is good, and I still use a pretty high bitrate setting to to have I guess a good quality to it. I mean, I haven't heard anybody say anything. I think the video on its own, with the fighting and the information and the commentary, makes up for it not being in 1080p.
Yeah, I mean that's another thing I do wonder about. If anyone watching, let us know in the comments. Like, how often do people actually watch like videos full screen? I know I hardly ever do on YouTube. I never watch anything full screen, so I don't really notice the quality stuff that much.
Well, see, that's I watch it full screen, and maybe it's because I'm so used to it not being that great quality. I would never notice if it's super detailed. Hey, it's better than before. Is how it's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah.
And again, comparing, those 47 vids or whatever it was that was 1 gig, a little over 1 gig. Here's 17 videos that's 26 gigs, and that's just the videos that I've made. I still have a chapter where I've got my blooper videos to make, so that's going to be chapter 11 through 16. So I have all those clips. I mean, I probably have, with everything and the rendering files, because that takes up a lot of space too. Is those rendering files? It's probably 150 gigs easily. That's
Yeah.
on my computer. So I have a terabyte. So this last screen before we start getting to the video is actually how it's going to look after I get all my transitions in. The screen up there with JTB, Weeble, me, and P. Saren, that's our buffer screen that starts at the very beginning. And how we do that is I have that, you might have heard me saying the blooper, but we have the 10-second buff. So we're both on Discord right now. I'm sharing my screen. He's watching the same thing that I am. And so for him to hit record on his end, we do that buffer screen. So as soon as it starts with the beginning, and I do hello Bigalski, he does JTB. That's how we do that. Then he will send me his file, and then I will put that in. So I have my voice on one track, his voice on another track, and then I have to go through and adjust the game volume, my volume, his volume. So there's a lot of work, but again, it's a lot of fun. So there you have it. JTB goes on and talks a little bit about how, us being, across the pond from each other, that you really couldn't do that back in the day, and just how far it's come since we first started. Hope everybody enjoyed that. It's hard to believe it's been 20 years when I look back at all this stuff. It definitely has gotten a lot more easier. And this video, like I said, was from 7 years ago, so it's even easier today than it was, back then. But I'm going to be doing like a little retro video series coming up. I'll explain, what I'm doing and why and things like that in a future video. But I hope everybody enjoys this. Time really goes by fast. Enjoy the moment. Everybody have a good day, and we'll see you in the next video.